Oh, you're decorating. Shit.
And we're here with the Bridge Collective from Austin, Texas.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone this year that made it, and thank you for the invitation. This is really cool. We couldn't wait to come here and share and talk about what we do in Austin. First of all, you might be wondering, what is a doula collective? What the hell is a doula? Have you ever heard of that term? Who's familiar with that term? Right. Can you tell me briefly, what do you think it is? Or
my understanding of it is just that it's like midwifery, but it's based on alternative ideas or practices, but it's really vague.
What do you think?
Related to midwifery, that's...
Okay. But traditionally, doula is a word that comes from Greek that meant female slave, but it was really that she attended women, and then later on it became termed to women who assist women during childbirth, not in a midwife place, but just as someone who's providing physical and emotional support through the process. So there's no medical side to it. And now we're taking that out of the arena from women helping women during childbirth to people helping people. So it's really just assistance through transitional periods, so that it's not just for birth process, but also through abortion or through adoption, or if you've had a miscarriage or any of those things, to have someone who can provide physical and emotional support. Because back in the day, it used to be families were there, and you had sisters and aunts and uncles or cousins, and we don't have that anymore. Everyone's spread out. So it's kind of created a place for the need for doulas, for people to support people in these different arenas.
And basically, to be a doula, you don't have to be a doctor, a nurse, or a midwife or anything. To be a doula, you just become a doula. And the work is, there's actually different kinds of doulas. We call ourselves full spectrum because we try to cover the full spectrum of pregnancy. But there's death doulas, which is people that help others die in peace. And there's the traditional role, is a birth doula is someone that assists or it helps a woman during childbirth.
And that's either before, during, or after. So it could be before, preparing them for childbirth. Traditionally, a doula would be a woman who has already had children. So that way she can help and assist a woman who has not had children to prepare themselves for that process, and then get them through them. And then afterwards, there's postpartum doulas that may help for 2 weeks to a month to give the mother a time to bond with the baby and not have to worry about house cleaning and feeding the rest of the family and things like that. So it just depends on what area you want to work in.
Yeah. And as I said, there's other types of doulas, postpartum, and there's also abortion doulas, which is some kind of recent term. Was it 2007? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
Have any of you heard of abortion doulas?
No. Do you have an idea, or what do you think it is when you hear the word abortion doula? Does anyone want to share what do you think it is?
Help someone going through the emotional trauma.
Yeah.
The most important, I guess, job of a doula is help emotionally. You're about, or any person is about to go through something that's life transforming, and that could be give birth or terminate a pregnancy. With terminating a pregnancy, most women or people, we don't want to say just women, people, people feel judged. Even if your family or your partner or your friends support you, you feel that the world is judging you and pointing at you. So it is very important that you have someone with you who's just right there, holding your hand and telling you it's going to be fine. And after a few years, you're going to remember, and you're going to be like, yeah, it was true, it's fine. It was my decision.
Another side where an abortion doula helps out is there's the physical side. When you go through an abortion, it's physically an uncomfortable experience. So there's a lot of trauma that your body goes through. So the abortion doula helps you with breathing, the same way that you get help with breathing during birthing, and also distraction. So like, for example, head or scalp massage, shoulder massage, something to pull attention away from other stuff, because our bodies just can't handle multiple stimulation, so it tones it down. So it makes it easier to get through. So then it's just a more tolerable process with less trauma on the system and shorter recovery time, which is great for everyone.
And full spectrum means any outcome of the pregnancy, and also full spectrum of people. There's a lot of people that are underserved, and or for example, something that as the Bridge Collective we thought we want to be able to approach queer parents and people that may want that support, but they don't know where to look for because it's so targeted for, oh, mama and baby and daddy.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to have that available for everyone. And also we want to be able to help people that can't afford, because in most places in the US, you can be a doula and charge for your work, and you can be a doula and just do it for free. So it's hard, especially in Austin, because there's a lot of doulas that do it for a living. It's really hard for some people to actually access that without, spending money.
So what we're working on is we're providing, the abortion doula services that we're providing to the community is completely free to anyone, always. When it comes to birth doula services, we're going to be offering a sliding scale, so that way for people who can pay, do pay, and then the people who can't, then pay what they're able to, or even free. As well as providing community education. Like I myself, I am not a trained birth doula, but I came to it because I felt called to do abortion doula work. I'm also a pregnancy massage therapist, and I teach parents how to massage their babies. So I'm an infant massage instructor, so I teach parents how to massage their babies and how to massage each other and take care of each other. And I put together a class. It's conscious coping skills that helps teach anyone how to cope with short-term intense pain, whether it's an abortion or a root canal or anything that's physically uncomfortable, that can help you get through that with less trauma in your system. So part of what we're providing is education, and we also want to provide free preventative education to the community so that women don't have, or people don't have to get abortions at all. So if we can prevent pregnancy, awesome. Yes, babies.
So I don't know, I can talk a little bit about the history.
So
The Bridge Collective. Okay, so we came together 1 year ago. It's been a year, and it's been a really difficult process because, well, we live in a state where it's very conservative, and we want to be able to partner with clinics, abortion clinics in Austin, so we can volunteer and help people that are waiting there for hours before getting the procedure. It's been difficult to approach them, even though in the U.S. there's how many other collectives?
we have there's 11 that are already
11 established collectives,
and then
Spectrum
4 or
Doulas.
5 more that are still in the process of forming.
Yeah.
So it's spreading.
Yeah, so it is hard for abortion clinics to accept this idea of somebody else from outside that has no medical education to come and just try to do something in the clinic. But I think it's very important, and what we're going to try to do, and what I would like for everyone that's interested in helping women going through abortion procedures, is you can also help them. You don't have to be in the clinic. You can maybe, if you know people that are about to go through a procedure, you can just reach them and offer an ear or a hand.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to be, there's a lot of clinics that won't let you go, they won't let someone in there with them. So you can be there with the person before in the waiting room or after. Sometimes it's just somebody needs somebody to talk to. If you yourself have had an abortion, I mean myself, the reason that I decided to follow this path, I had an abortion. And because of that and the gratitude that I felt for the nurse who held my hand, I almost considered becoming a nurse. And then I realized I don't want to be a nurse. I'm happy as a massage therapist. I don't want to go to nursing school and do all that. But I do want to support women in this way. And also because of my massage therapy background and what I understood about trauma in the system, I came out of that process walking out of the room, whereas the other women who were much younger than me came out shuffling and broken. And I came out of the room, I was the last person to have the procedure done, and I came out of the room at the same time that like 3 of them did. So I understood that I knew something about the body that could help prevent the trauma, and was like, I need to help other women. I don't necessarily have medical training or background. Technically there's a little bit because of the massage therapy and my own studies into trauma, but if you're drawn to that in any way, then you can help in that way. And there's places like the Austin doulas, the Bridge Collective. I wasn't a part of the Bridge Collective when they got trained, but there was a group from Chicago,
No, it was from North Carolina.
North Carolina, that came down and did the abortion doula training for them, which was a 2-day training. And that's how I ended up finding the Bridge Collective, because I had decided that I wanted to create an abortion doula volunteer group, that just in general. And so if anyone here feels called to create a group like that, you can do it. You don't have to have a nonprofit. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to. All you have to do is have the desire to do that, feel called to do that, and find other people that are called to do that, and then put it out there that this is how you want to support the community. And then the community will know that you're available, and they'll reach out.
Basically, the doula work comes from compassion. If you help people through an abortion procedure or giving birth, you have to be aware that you have your own opinions of what you want for yourself, and they have their own lives. So it's non-judgmental, completely, 100%. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to come across that you're not going to like. People having abortions for the 5th time, the 7th time, or a woman giving birth and wanting to have a C-section every time. If she's seeking for support, or if a family is seeking for support, you're there to offer whatever it entitles. And as a non-medical person, you cannot give advice when it comes to what to eat, what to drink, what to do. You just always refer them to caregivers. It can be frustrating sometimes because you have some background of knowledge. You know what things are good for someone who's pregnant or what things are not. And you can hear that the doctor or the nurse suggests things that you know it's completely wrong. But since you're non-medical, you cannot really do that. Our job, or my job, for example, I'm a trained birth doula, so I volunteer at a local hospital, and my job is basically help women and their families to advocate for themselves. If they have to know what their rights are in the hospital, so at the clinic, at an abortion clinic. So my job is not to be like, hey, tell the nurse about this, but just be like, hey, you told me before that you want to know more about this before they do it to you, like whatever procedure. So why don't we ask the nurse, etc. So it's basically about not advocating for others, but helping others advocate for themselves. That's what the doula job basically is. I don't know if you want to ask something else.
Does anyone have questions?
Yes. Ask questions, please.
I was wondering if, when you're working in a hospital or a clinic, if you found that you are or are not supported by the nurses or the doctors, do you feel like you have some friction there? Because I have heard, some of the nurses say kind of negative things, so I wanted to see if you guys felt like you were being accepted or you were part of the plan of care.
Some hospitals are more open to have doulas than others. Definitely there's, especially nurses, that they became nurses because they want to be doulas. They want to do the emotional support. So when a doula comes in the room, they get really jealous and territorial. Like, this is my customer and who are you? So it is very difficult, but you always have to make them realize that you're there to become part of the team.
You're there to support them.
Yes, you're not. Yeah, you're not there to start or make a conflict of interest. So, yes, sometimes it's really difficult and frustrating, but most of the times, it's since birth moved from homes to hospitals, midwives and doulas were kind of vilified in culture. And they were shown to be as a thing that's dirty and disgusting, and you don't want this dirty old woman birthing your child in your home because it's terrible. You want to go to a hospital where everything is clean and sterile. And when that happened, death rates actually went up than when they were doing them at home. But it didn't change anything. It was still this idea and concept that women need to give birth in hospitals, flat on their backs,
in a position that is completely unnatural and attended to not by women for the primary work. And now there's a shift that's coming back over where midwives are now becoming part of the team. I do massage therapy at a clinic in Austin that has midwives on staff, so they're working with the doctors and they are open to doulas, but there's still a lot of other doctors that are just they're not comfortable with the idea because it is once again, it's an untrained person that doesn't have medical training, or at least in their mind untrained, and they don't have a place in the medical facility. So it's really just working with talking to your clients and then talking to their staff, like who are their attending doctors and who are the people that are going to be working with them, and make sure that they understand that you're there to help them as well by being kind of a liaison between the patient and the staff as well.
Something that I wanted to mention is most doulas are women, and I guess I understand why most women at a hospital in that situation would like to have another woman instead of men. But there's actually a couple of doulas, full spectrum doulas that are identify themselves as male. I think one of them is in Canada and the other one is here in the U.S. And it would be really cool if we could have more like male doulas. Why not?
It's really what it comes down to, is being a compassionate person who's willing to provide non-judgmental care and nurturing. And if you can care for someone and provide support with them without judging them or trying to get them to change their mind about what they're doing, then you can be a doula. If you feel called to it, if you don't feel like you want to help people, then please don't do it, because it's not going to be good for you or anyone involved.
Send them
send them to us, or to the doulas that you know in your own community.
Does anyone have more questions?
Can you get in trouble for like giving medical advice?
Yes. You're not allowed to give advice.
No. If you are, let's say that if you are a birth doula and you go to hospitals and help during childbirth, there are a few organizations that are international that you can get certified by or with.
DONA.
There's several right now.
Several, yeah.
But basically, you have to be very aware that if you do something like that, like if you get in trouble, then the hospital might not want to have more doulas there. And you can get your certification taken away. And I mean, the most important, or what I think that what the first reason or the most important reason that you should think of before doing something like that is, I don't want to lose this client. I want this client to be safe. And if you are not medically trained, then you're not supposed to be given any advice because you don't know their background. You don't know something so simple as eat spinach for iron. You don't know if that's going to hurt them.
Yeah, there's some people that can't have because they can't have grains because of whatever reason. I don't know. But even like if the person's your friend, if you're working on her as a doula capacity, it would be safer to not give advice like that. In the doula capacity, you would say, as your friend, I recommend, I think that this might be good for you, but I'm not sure. It's always good to always throw in, is like, I think, but I don't know for certain.
I think this can help you, so why don't you ask your caregiver?
Exactly, ask your doctor if this is going to work for you. If you want to give advice like that, then you can't get in trouble. Anyone else?
So how do you become a doula? Like, I heard you said certification, but how long is
Well,
that?
certification, it's only if you want to do it.
And
And it's only for birth.
And it depends on who you're going through.
Some hospitals or some obstetricians will be hesitant to hire you or have you in the room if you are not certified or trained by an organization that certifies doulas. But you don't really have to become certified at all.
Because there's no official, it's not like, as a massage therapist, I'm licensed and I have to take a state board exam, and that's what qualifies me to be a licensed massage therapist, to charge for massage therapy. If anybody wants to give people massages and not charge for them, they don't have to go to school and they don't have to have a license. As a doula, though, you can charge for your services and not go through training and not be licensed or anything like that. But I think that when you don't have training, it's harder to find clients, and I mean, that's really the main part right there. It's harder to find clients. It's one thing if you're a woman who has birthed many children and has helped many other women birth their children, then yeah, you're set, no problem, because you have a lot of experience behind you. But
if you wanted to become a doula without going through a training or certification or anything like that, you can maybe try to meet someone that's birth doula and ask her, can I come with you? Can I shadow you?
So kind of like an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
I know there's a group in California that provides free doula training online. That if you're a massage therapist or a nurse, they charge $50 for the CEUs, so that you can have the continuing education, and then they'll give you a certificate for the continuing education. But if you're not a nurse or a massage therapist, you don't have to pay the $50. They give the information for free because they feel that doulas are necessary and we need to have them for whatever, whether it's birth, abortion, whatever. And the more informed that we are, the better we can provide service. So they're just look around and you'll find it.
Does that answer your question? Does anybody have more questions or comments or?
Yes.
How does a person find a doula?
That's very important. In my experience, it's always word of mouth. I always have someone that calls me and says, hey, my friend, whoever, told me that you helped her. So I want to see if I can meet with you and just to see if it will be a good match. Normally, if you have no idea of where to find a doula and you don't know anybody that has used a doula in the past, you just go online and Google it. Yeah. Doulas in San Antonio or doulas wherever you are.
Yeah. Austin has a lot of doula.
Yes, there's directories online where you can check. You can sort them by doulas that have children, doulas that do abortion work, or doulas that only do postpartum work, or whatever. And
doulas that specifically work with C-section.
Or doulas that work with queer parents, or doulas that work
VBAC.
Which is vaginal birth after a cesarean, which is something that's difficult. Yeah, it's kind of specialized because most of women that have cesarean sections, when they want to have another baby, the doctors will tell them it's going to be easier if you go through another cesarean section. But there's support groups and doulas that support women that want to try a vaginal. Yeah. So you just go on the internet, everything's there.
How would you get a person to trust you if that person's used to just going to hospitals and has never heard, has never met anyone?
Well, I think really for that situation, would they even be looking for a doula?
What if maybe they were?
But if they were, I'm thinking, well, what happens, you usually, if you're going to meet with someone, it depends, first of all, when they contact you. If they're contacting us, if they're contacting a month before delivery, then that's not much time to really get to know the patient. But usually, you meet with them once or twice before the delivery or more.
It has to be at least a couple of times,
yeah.
And most of the times in the last trimester. There has been people that have contacted me. I had someone that called me and she was like, I'm already due. And I went to her house and the very next day she gave birth. So it's...
I think part of the trust building is the communication. Definitely finding a doula that you're comfortable with. I think another side of the trust building that goes on, at least during the process, is that there is some physical work, such as massage, that's going on, because that's just part of the distraction method. And massage releases oxytocin, which is a trust chemical, so that intrinsically builds trust. And so if you do a session with your doula client beforehand, if you get together and actually do some pregnancy massage and do some kind of things like that, which you can learn some basic skills that you don't have to be a massage therapist for, because you're not charging them for massage therapy, you're charging them for doula support. So you can actually provide some gentle massage that will help build that trust and get that oxytocin flowing, so then you both establish trust with each other, which opens communication even more, and then that helps that process. Yes?
Does your collective offer training? So if anyone wanted to come and maybe shadow one of you?
We will be offering trainings initially for the abortion doula work specifically, and then eventually, as we get more established, then possibly open up to training people to be doulas, birth doulas.
Birth doulas. Mainly, we're just waiting to hear from clinics to see if we can access the clinics first, and then we'll
and if not, kind of going from there. What we're doing, the clinics, we've had some clinics that have agreed to allow us to put paperwork in there, so at least people know there's the Bridge Collective and they're providing these services and they can help us. And oh look, it's free abortion doula services, so if I need to talk to somebody, I have somebody I can call, which is great. I think that's a good start. Clinics are not going to be likely to immediately open their arms and embrace and be like, oh yeah, come work with us, because it's so controversial and there's so much risk on their end. But if you can get them to at least let you put your paperwork in there so people know that you're available, that's getting a foot in. And then once you start working with them regularly and they get to see your faces and they get to see your volunteers' faces on a regular basis and see the difference that it makes in these people's lives and the change, they're going to be much more willing to eventually like open up. At least that's what my fingers are crossed. And that's what I'm prognosticating. So
yeah. In the meantime, if we don't really hear back from clinics or they won't accept us to work in the clinics, we're just also going to try to
we're going to be offering support groups. So support groups like women who have had abortions, or maybe women who are thinking about having abortions, or miscarriage support groups. So there's going to be different ways for the public to know that we are available to provide support.
And there's also a housing project in the plan.
Yes.
We want to be able to house people that come to Austin seeking for abortions and they don't have money to pay for
a place to stay,
or they have children and they don't have anyone to
take care of their kids, or transportation, kind of set up a couch surfing web or a transport web, because there are a lot of people that come from out of state or even out of the country to have abortions in Austin or any other city that allows it because they can't get it where they're at. And it needs to.
And we have business cards, we have rack cards, we have a Facebook page, we have a website.
Oh, we're having this coming Saturday. I can't believe I forgot this. I'm organizing it. We're having our first fundraiser, which is an art auction. So that way, that's bringing in some synergy there. We're promoting the individual artists who have donated their art to us, and then that gets the word out about the Bridge Collective via them to the people that are like, hey, I'm participating in this art auction. And then it's kind of a win-win, you know. It's not just the Bridge Collective getting exposure and raising funds, it's also giving exposure to all these other artists, giving them an opportunity to participate in their community into something charitable, which looks good on their portfolios. And and then everybody wins. And the way that I worked that out was I'm friends with a lady who owns a cafe, and asked her if she would let us use her space for it, and she said yes. So we're not even being charged for it. So there's ways that you can do fundraisers that don't, like, the only expenses that I've been putting into this have been so far into some flyers, and we're going to make smoothies and offer smoothies to people because we can't have an open bar because TABC won't let you just give away alcohol anymore. So, but smoothies are healthier anyway. So that's going to cost, maybe total cost is probably going to be less than $50 for a fundraiser that's going to get our name out to the public. And because it's during South by Southwest, there's going to be a lot of people coming through. So it's thinking about what's going on in your community that you can plug yourself into so that other people see you. So then you're not just promoting, and especially if you're working with other groups so that you're cross-promoting each other, is the best way to go. One of the things that Drea is one of the class facilitators, so we're looking around to look at other nonprofits in Austin that already have locations that might be willing to let us teach classes out of there, so that we can work with them and partner with each other and then cross-promote each other.
So our first fundraiser is going to happen in the South by Southwest Music.
Yeah, on Saturday from 3 to 6.
So if any of you are going to be there.
Yeah, if you'll be in Austin for South by, stop by Hot Mama's Cafe, 3 to 6 p.m. Open registration for the art.
You don't have flyers on here?
We have flyers not for the event, but we have flyers for the Bridge Collective.
Yeah, we don't have some cards, and you can just.
If you go to our website, we have linked a page to our main page that's for fundraisers. So that way people can go to that, and I've posted some of the art that's going up for auction.
There's actually an artist from San Antonio who donated.
Yeah, he donated like 8 pieces, one of those San Antonio artists, and he started a poetry slam here like years ago, so it's pretty cool. And my brain just went blank. I'm sorry. I was going to say something. Oh, so we have, right now we have all the artists, it's anonymous, and then after the fact we're going to post artist bios with all their work so that way it'll promote the artist permanently on the site. We just want it to be anonymous beforehand because we want people to buy art based on liking a piece versus who made it.
Yeah. That's important too.
And we set it up that regardless of the value of the piece, whether it's valued at $100 or $450, anything over $100, the starting bid is $50. So that way it kind of gives people the opportunity to possibly win a piece that might be valued at much more than they would normally pay for it. So it's kind of is another draw for marketing promotion. Any other questions? Okay, no? Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.